Hallelujah. How's it going? My name is Blessious, and I hope that you're having a wonderful one. Me, I literally cannot complain. The one thing that I'm super thrilled about is this game that is coming up. It's an indie game called LUCID. How I heard of it first was when I first joined Apogee last year. If you don't know, Apogee Entertainment, it's like one of the original indie publishers from the 90s. They originally published Wolfenstein 3D, Commander Keen with id Software. They made Duke Nukem, etc., etc. You know, no big deal. And anyway, so one of my first days, it was PAX West last year, I got to see behind the scenes this game called LUCID, and it's this beautiful 2D pixel art Metroidvania, but with like some Celeste elements to it, where it's a lot of like fluid. You just look at this gameplay, it's amazing. So last night I was joined by the Matt Black studio, Eric the developer, and he kind of just gushed on his game, and I gushed on the game with him as well. So hey, enjoy some LUCID, and if you enjoy this, consider backing the game on Kickstarter, because there's some really cool backer rewards, whether it's designing an NPC, cosmetics, and a whole lot more. LucidKickstarter.com. Anyway, let's dive into the game. So this is right where we're talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ah, yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I mean, he's, I don't know, he's the tutelage guy. He teaches all the little guys, all the little kid sentinels. They're basically little Jedi, and he thinks they're rapscallions. He doesn't particularly like little kids, but he has to teach the little kids because he's the kid. He's like the teacher of the tribe, and he's got a big grump. He's a big grumpy guy. I like Thomas. I resonate. I resonate.
Is
with,
Thomas you?
I feel like there's bits of me in so many of the characters, but yeah, he's definitely when I'm like, leave me alone vibes. I feel like Thomas.
I got you. That's funny that you say that, because I don't get that vibe from you ever when we talk. Yeah, the one thing that I will say, like, I know I was bringing this up, but it just blows me away that you hand created everything. You know, obviously, you know, pixel art, but it's still like done by, you know, placing things down like manually.
Yeah, man. Every little pixel was placed with love is what I like to say. It's a gift and a curse, man. It's I remember the day because it used to be way back when it was way more like 16-bit, like way less, I guess, high fidelity, like high res art, if you want to call it that. And then I started to make it more and more detailed. And once you start one, and you're like, oh, I like this, and you're like, crap, I have to do all of it like this, and it just had this trickling effect. But 'twas worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and these sheep that are lost obviously are teaching you stuff, but like, look at this art. That's all you as well?
Yeah, everything, yeah, all of it. It's all me. It's I've always loved animation. I grew up watching every animated thing you can possibly think of, like every Disney VHS pretty much, and Studio Ghibli, just all the good stuff. Old school anime like DBZ and Yu Yu Hakusho kind of shit. But yeah, I've been a big fan of animation for my whole life, so learning it and like trying to apply what I've seen over the years has been a lot of fun.
Dude, that's awesome. And those speed ramps, there's a little bit of like a Sonic vibes to that, just a hair. And the
just
one thing,
hair.
just a hedgehog, if you will. But yeah, like, was Sonic an inspiration, or was it just like, hey, I just want like these cool movement parts?
So like, I wouldn't. It definitely wasn't at like the forefront, because I'm not like the biggest Sonic dude. I was a Nintendo kid my whole life, so yeah, so like I only got to play Sonic at like buddies' houses and stuff. And
it was always the first level, and it was like, whoa, a half pipe and a ramp.
Yeah. And I was usually Tails usually, and so yeah, and like I didn't like understand how to play Sonic. Like I didn't understand there's routes, and like I was just like, it's so fast, and then I can't see what's happening. I just didn't know what's going on.
And then your first anxiety attack with the water music. Yes. You're like, oh, why do I have anxiety? No! Sonic EXE at 6 years old!
My first panic attack was listening to Green Hill Zone. Oh my god.
So I didn't mean to step over you.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah, no, there's definitely some Sonic. I think it's just like you said, like a hair, just like moments of like that speed and adrenaline, but it's never. It's like, I don't know. You can see where you're going, and it's not. I guess the 16:9 ratio helps a lot compared to we were doing that on a 4:3. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's tough. So I noticed on that save statue there was a little bit of a blue fire boy. Can you? I was always curious about that. Is that just like one of the elements?
Oh yeah, you're a keen eye, a keen observer, Blessious. Very, very, very nice. Yeah, those are little. They're called coda. They're kind of they're part of one of the three. They're called like Children of the Giants. They're kind of like mini. So there's the three Celestials. There's the Lucid Giant, Troika, the giant fire dragon, and then there's Ilia, like the moon deity, and each of them had like little, they call them little children, like little mini thems, and those are his. They're little Coda. They're inspired, if anybody's ever watched Princess Mononoke, the little Kodama. They're completely inspired by them. But yeah, they're, not to go reveal too much of the lore, but they were made with a specific purpose, and they have like a duty, and they do things in the world, and there's a mysterious mystery around them. Like, not everyone can hear what they're saying, but maybe you can. Yeah,
So,
I don't know, man. But,
spoiler,
yeah.
Owen can hear it.
Yeah, and maybe not so great at first, but you can get better at understanding them the more you play.
Oh, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And here's Thomas
Yeah, they're like
again.
little. Yeah, Thomas. He's basically just keeping up with you and being like, "Oh shit, you got a new skill. That's cool. You'll learn more as you keep going and read more from the tutorials my sheep are chewing on."
Oh, so they're chewing on tutorials.
Yeah. So like he's like the
wow.
teacher. Yeah. You'll see all the scrolls in his arm. He's just like the he's like the first grade teacher, and like he's also like the resident herder, like the sheep herder. So he's got two jobs. He teaches the little kids how to be sentinels, and he also herds the sheep that make Owen's fly ass jacket and every sentinel's garb. They have a lot of sheep wool. So yeah, you're just going around, you're like making sure they're all okay, and they're all chewing his scrolls, and the scrolls are the tutorial. It's all diegetic. It's all good fun.
That's awesome. And one thing that I had a question on, like when we were talking about the blue flame guys, you were kind of like showing off like all of like the ranged attacks that you can do. I was curious because in the Kickstarter trailer, it kind of featured some like showcasing of possible RPG elements.
Yeah, yes. There for sure are. They're so it's like an in between, like a classic Metroidvania where Castlevania leans more on the RPG, and then Metroid, I would argue, has very little, if any, RPG to it. So this is kind of in the middle, where you can upgrade your first of all, you can equip certain equipment, very much like the Hollow Knight badge system, where you can equip certain badges and it alters your play style. So that's one, and you can upgrade those. Then there's also you can upgrade your actual skills, like in the bottom left hand corner, there's two diamonds. Those are 2 skills. There's 5 in total, and you can upgrade them. There's skill trees, and you can pick and choose how you'd like to upgrade them. So everyone's Owen is going to be a little different in their own. So there's a lot of different customization to it.
Oh, that's awesome. And speaking of customization, one question this is just me asking because I'm a sucker for cosmetics. Are there cosmetics coming for Owen?
There is a Kickstarter exclusive skin.
Oh.
And it's very likely to be the only skin.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so if people are into that, which I know I am, you're going to want to go to the Kickstarter and get the tier that unlocks it for you, because a lot of people don't know how arduous it is to make sprites. It's not so easy as like just adding something over it. It's a lot. There are a lot of animations that would require a multiple skins and sprites. So having one is already a pretty large task. So yeah. If you want a really cool, I've already made it. It looks so cool. I showed it to a buddy. And he's like, "Ooh!" He's like, "I want to eat it." And I'm like, "I know, right? It looks delicious."
Do you want to eat it?
Yeah, he said the colors look like appetizing, and I was like, "That's exactly what I wanted."
I'm using my imagination, man.
Oh, it looks. I'll show you. I'll give you a little a sneak peek later.
Okay, yeah, I'm very excited for that. And I remember these guys. I always thought they kind of looked like miner moles with like moles with a mine light on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh well, sheesh, look at me. But yeah. So the one thing that I was kind of curious about is obviously like we're venturing into these animals that are just defending their territory. But are there like malicious enemies that we'll be coming across that just they're out there pure
evil? See, it's great. You framed it perfectly, because there are like. Right now we're doing the Kirby conundrum where we're killing all these really cute creatures that have no business being murdered and onslaughted, but they just shouldn't have been here today. We've talked about this. But to your question, there are factions that are more standard quote unquote baddies, but what I've been setting out to do with the story is give every character and every faction grace, and not everyone is like pure evil, and if there's like motives and there's reasons, and there are very little, if any, maybe there's like one or two like mustache twirling bad guys, but yeah, there are also non-adorable creatures to fight and combat with.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was also kind of curious. Now this is just me throwing a loop, but some of these NPCs kind of give me a little bit of a hair of Chrono Trigger. Is that just me?
I mean, I'm super glad you see that, because Chrono Trigger is a huge inspiration. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's so funny that you're picking up what I'm putting down. Chrono Trigger is a beautiful example of that like optimistic melancholy vibe, where it has like that spectrum of emotion where it can be like super silly and fun and cute, and then it gets super like dark and brooding with the who was the warlock dude? I think his name was like Magus or something.
Yeah, Magus.
Yeah, so they go Magus, and then you have like ridiculous silliness, like the frog storyline at the beginning. But even that, which starts off absolutely so silly, it's a giant frog, but that has gravitas in it as well.
Oh, my favorite character.
How to run a deployment for work,
he's the best.
but dropping the sub message.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is a huge inspiration when it comes to like tone and story and scope and mood and atmosphere. So and even character design. Like we mentioned Dragon Ball earlier, but Akira Toriyama is like goated. So
yeah.
I mean, I can't help but seem to make characters that harken back to him.
Yeah, I mean, the one this is just me. This is not when I say this might feel like pointed or like motive driven, but I genuinely do mean this. The one thing that I really respect about Apogee is like not only just Lucid, but there's so many games that have just like so much like passion put into them, and not only that, but like a lot of trust. And the other thing that I kind of noticed was like you don't really get kickback too much, and it's so cool that you get all of that creative freedom, because I mean, look what you can do with creative freedom. I mean, look at these NPCs. Like when I first saw this guy in game, I was like, that is smooth as butter animation for like pixel animations, and like there's just so much like world building, even if you're not talking NPCs. And I just think that it's beautifully laid out, not only like visually, like here at this tree with those little blue guys, and definitely not a me from Nintendo Wii, but like you also have like the arching pathways that you can like use your abilities to go up with. I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's nice being able to make what I want to make, so that's always a good thing. I think having a creative vision and keeping it on point and direct and honed in, and I think that's key. It's very key. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. Oh man, a green protagonist is like dropping some fat poetry in chat. I'm seeing.
The beauty of nihilistic optimism. The universe is random, cold, and unforgiving. We have the difference. We make the difference, and we will be the universe. Whoa. And he also said it's nice. It feels nice and snappy like Terraria.
Oh, very cool. Oh, I'm very happy that Green Protagonist is enjoying it so far. Everything he's mentioning are aspects I take great pride in. So many thanks, my friend.
So as the gameplay kind of opens, as the gameplay opens up, and we're seeing like more than just traversal, we're seeing like starting to get into on our way to the first temple dungeon. The one thing that we kind of mentioned to Green Protagonist was like, hey, if you want to see a different take on Metroid, this is like super. But the other inspiration is Celeste, because you call this Celesteoidvania. Could you like expand on that?
Yeah, totally. I've gotten. I mean, I made the term a Celesteoidvania like on a. It just came out. It was someone was asking me like, how would you describe it? I'm like, I don't know. It's like if Celeste in a Metroidvania, it's like a Celesteoidvania, and I just ran with it. And I've gotten it's gotten a lot of good reception, and a lot of people are like, that's so great. I immediately understand what you're trying to do. It's funny. I love it. And then there's also the complete opposite. Like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. You should feel bad. It's for dumb people, and you should be dumb for dumb. I'm like, calm down. It's just all lighthearted fun. Yeah. But all that it's trying to do is get across a point very, very quickly with like terms that anybody in the arena of Metroidvania or gaming would know. So anybody that knows what a Metroidvania is, boom, we're done. We're halfway there. The Celeste portion is where it gets a little new, because there's a mechanic that I don't think there's an industry standard for it. It just doesn't exist. The closest I could come up with was node-based traversal, and like that's not fun to say.
NBT.
Yeah, which that's like clinical. It feels not very fun. So the whole point is there's this mechanic in Lucid where these little crystals, ironically, where if you jump into them, your jump and resources refresh. Mm-hmm. So I just took that idea and I ran with it. So you'll notice when I'm flying around, zip-zooping all over the place, if I land a target, I can stay airborne. That's what all those, I guess this room's not exactly a perfect example for that. But later you'll see, you can stay airborne for as long as you can keep hitting targets. And each of your crystal arts, those little things in the bottom left, they are tied to certain cardinal directions. The slash is like horizontal, the spear is up and down, and the more your arsenal expands, the more directional, like right there, the more directional of hitboxes you'll have to maintain your aerial acrobatics. And this is a good example.
This is a great example.
Right there, that's Celesteoidvania.
Yeah, and when I first saw that, I honestly didn't get it, but like once I saw like the game open up, I'm like, that's perfect. That is a perfect way to describe it. And I can see what you mean by like people being like, yo man, I don't get it. But the thing is like, hey, if people are trolling, you've got something great, man.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I have come to that. Like, I take it as a compliment nowadays, where as long as they're talking about it, I guess.
If it's engagement, you got it, man, and just view it as that, like for real. Yeah, I think like this is a neat little thing because I forget the name of those bombs that are shown. It's something Bombabite.
Yeah, you got it perfect. If my Nintendo-ness wasn't coming out, like I was like bomb, but it has to be like crystal. And then I just went through like the ending of like mineral names, and like ite was in there a lot. Bombabite.
Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's really cool. I didn't expect to learn the lore of the name. But over here, we're starting to see Pentagon shields. Could you talk about like these shields? Like they seem to be a little bit hard to break here.
Yeah, they when these get introduced in the game, in the demo, they show up a little sooner than they would in the game proper, but it's just give like try to give as much of a vertical slice as possible of what the game will have. But these are going to add another layer of difficulty in combat encounters and even puzzles. But essentially, the Pentagon barriers can only be broken with your crystal arts. There are 5 crystal arts, hence the 5 points. Ta-da! And then the more circular shields that we haven't seen yet, they can only be broken with your pulses, your little Mega Man. Yeah, your little Mega Man lemons. So you're either going to have to break them with your pulse, or you're going to break them with your crystal arts. And it's this like ebb and flow of weaving in and out and knowing when to use what attacks.
And here we go into the dungeon. So the one thing that I'm curious about is before we went into this, we saw a little mole guy, and I was curious, like with like the upgrades that you'll be able to get into, like we talked about RPG elements. Is there something where animals would be friendly or even fight on your side?
Ooh, interesting. Sort of. Screw it. There are going to be what I mentioned, those badges before. But they're essentially, you can equip these things called bracers, and then in the bracers you can put talismans. And some talismans can create a sort of like familiar, sort of like Castlevania Symphony in the Night, where you get like the little bat familiar, or all those things that kind of float around you and do stuff. So you can have a buddy. I have plans for a few buddies that kind of do different things, that hang out with you, hover over your shoulder. So not so much like a Pokemon 1-to-1 where you can like recruit these little critters, but you can have little buddies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Join you on your journey.
I definitely get one of the apes and call him Harambe. And the other thing is we're in the room with circuits. Now, I didn't learn about circuits until recently. Please share about these, because I feel like this is something that no other game does. I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, man. Circuits. I'm really happy with these, and they have been kind of low key. I was afraid to highlight them because already Lucid is getting this air of this looks difficult, but it's I promise you, you can do it. Everyone can do it. But so I was worried to broach them even further. But circuits are my nod to the speedrunning community, and Lucid was built from the ground up with speedrunning and replayability in mind. That is not to say that you have to do Lucid fast at all. You can play at your pace, but you are rewarded for going quickly. So when you get more familiar, more comfortable, and more confident in your skills, you can play it again, and the faster you go, the stronger you'll get, and you'll steamroll. So that said, in dungeons there are certain like circuits, like kind of like, think of it like Mega Man X stages, like mini Mega Man X levels within the dungeon. And when you're in them, you can see me doing it. I don't know if I did it already, but you can try a room, and if you did it okay, you would think you could do it better. At any time you can reset the room, and it restarts fully. You start at the beginning. It's a complete instance of how you just got when you first entered the room. So you can do this over and over and over and over again until you're happy with the speed of the room, and you proceed. The reason you want to do these rooms fast is because when you're in a circuit, there's a meter that's ticking down, and the longer you're in a circuit, the more that meter is ticked down, which means less meter for the boss. The more meter for the boss is more time for a buff. So you want to do these rooms as quickly as possible so you can have more meter for the boss fight, where you'll do double damage or have an extra jump, or there's ways to change what buff you'll want. But yeah, that's what the circuits are. It's a speedrunner's dream.
And and so when I found out about this, it was kind of like you said, oh, it's an invisible meter. But eventually, in a future build, possibly the alpha beta that'll be available to backers with the Lucid Kickstarter, lucidkickstarter.com. The meter will be there.
Yeah. I have I think it's actually in the build. It's just numbers. It's not like graphic and pretty, but it's in the top right. You'll be able to see it. But yeah, there'll be a meter so you can see what's going on.
Oh, that's neat. The one thing that I noticed, and I'm only saying this just because of just running past them fast. There's like a Cubone Charmander around.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that? This is something that I've always been curious, because the first time I saw it was when you asked me to help you with like graphical help around holiday last year. And I would love, this is just me personally, I would love to know the lore of that guy.
Yeah, he's so we mentioned earlier about the Coda and how they're kind of the Lucid giants, like little mini ones.
Yeah.
Those are Troika's mini like if the Lucid Giant and Troika are like Charizard and Blastoise, those are like the Squirtle and Charmander, respectively. So
there's a Troika squad?
Yeah, kinda. And there's a Pale Maiden squad, there's a Lucid Giant squad, and there's a Troika squad. And they all are they're not inherently, well, you'll see. You'll have to play the game and find out. But they're not bad. They're not out to get you, not all of them at least. And yeah, they're cool. I like them. They're called Quitum. Because they have they're like little cute little tum-tums. They have like little pot bellies, and I love them.
Also, this animation there, that's incredible.
Oh, the this beacon unfolding thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This one was fun to make. I mean, I say fun. It was a pain in the freaking ass to make, but when it was done, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that.
That's super awesome. And here we're seeing the different shields. And
yes.
there's obviously a pentagon and a circle, or that might be an octagon. But like, so that is like... the one I bring this up because obviously we're seeing them here, and you said previously that the demo will have more of these features that will be more late game. But my question to you is, like, most, like, say Metroid Dread, you might have this area that you start out in, and you know, maybe late game you'll have to cycle back, and it might just be a little bit tougher with some upgrades. Is that something that you can expect in Lucid?
Yes, absolutely. I remember when I was playing Mega Man X, and the first time I played and realized like defeating Chill Penguin affected Flame Mammoth's stage, it blew my little mind. So having areas affect other areas in a game always like tickles my gamer funny bone. I love it. So yeah, there'll be moments where doing something in one part of the biome, in another biome, in the dungeon or outside the dungeon will affect something else somewhere else. And to your point, in this demo, the beacon kind of puts power back, like it brings power back to the grid of the planet, and that's what's all of a sudden all these like fantastically mechanical things start turning on, and that's why turrets start getting shields, and you'll see the level changes, and it opens up new routes and stuff.
Oh, that's super neat. And can you expand like what it, like I again, this might go into lore and you might not want to share it, but obviously if there's machines that are here that are lied dormant, does that hint at some implications? I
mean, it sure does. I don't know what those implications are, but they're definitely there.
No, that's so cool. And the other thing is, like, these moments that you just start just speeding by, I just think they're so cool because visually it kind of is like you're like 6 years old seeing Sonic and Sonic 2 for the first time, being like, whoa, gotta go fast. And I just love how you achieved like the speed, but not only just like running, but like continuing that in your jumps and in air and just going through these jump puzzles.
Yes, I'm really glad you're digging that. 'Cause that speed, and it's like more flow. It's like momentum and this flow state. I've been saying flow state a lot in my meetings with like trying to get people on the same page and stuff. But mostly where music is going to be a big flow state inducer. And I just kind of want to get that like almost Tony Hawk pro skater vibe where you're just kind of like instinctually playing. Like at some point you're gonna, when you first pick it up, it'll be like learning, like any instrument. It's like I'm learning how to play this instrument. But once you like learn how to like start to solo and do tasty licks on the guitar and start free-forming and doing some jazz and all that stuff, like, oh, I feel so good. And you just go to this flow state, and that's how I've been approaching Lucid. Like it's like an instrument, and when you get good at it, you can like make some really cool music.
I think there's no better time to talk about the Diddy Kong in the room, if you will.
Oh.
Yeah, I know we talked about it earlier, but David Wise like joining the project. You want to just talk about that, like the music of the game, expand about that?
Oh yeah, he's he was the huge inspiration for like the very beginning. When I first started developing Lucid, I had this playlist that was just almost entirely Donkey Kong Country songs, and it would just get me in the right headspace, put me in the right frame of mind, and take me back to that gaming period that I'm trying to evoke. And it's the same thing I would give to the artists who have been working with me, that like, this is the template, like this is the vibe. Try to like, whatever you make your stuff, but just try to like make your track feel at home if it was on this album, kind of thing. And it's so weird for it to be full circle, to be working with like an industry legend and an old like, oh my god, a hero. It's so weird, man. It's absolutely weird. Like if you had asked me even last year if I'd ever be working with David Wise, or let alone being like on an email chain with him, it's like insane to me. Yeah,
and he made a video because he sent us a video to use for promotion. And I know I use that with Apogee, and let alone me personally, because I adore what you're doing here, and like, it's freaking David Wise, man. And
I know.
And I was so tickled. I think it was yesterday he made his own video, and it's so funny because like I never like I hope this doesn't come off like mean or anything, but I didn't really put a face to the music until recently. And he is kind of like Matt Berry. He's very theatrical. He's like, we have a Kickstarter, lucidkickstarter.com. Like, he's very much like that. And I'm like, dude, this dude is the coolest dude ever. And
he's awesome.
Yeah, and he's just all about it. And and so here we are back in the dungeon, and we're going to see more circuits, correct?
Yes, yeah, so we're perfect timing. So we've turned on the power to open that door, and now we're entering the second circuit. This one's a little bit more challenging than the first, and but essentially the circuits act kind of like boss room keys, where the temple boss, the door only opens after all the circuits have been cleared. And so you're, after this one, the boss door will have been opened. But something that I don't think I've ever mentioned, and I don't think anyone's ever noticed yet, but I'm going to tell you, Kyle, and everybody in this chat, every single one of these encounters, these like gated off fights, every single one is the exact same enemy pattern.
Is that temporary, or is it?
It is temporary, but what I find really amusing, it's amusing to me that nobody has noticed at all, and I think that's really great, because just by placing enemies in different spots and having a different arena and having the different environmental hazards in the room, even just that's enough to like not even recognize that you're playing the exact same enemies in the exact same pattern. So I'm very excited to actually get to sit down and like just change it up. But it was it's just a little inside dev is just like that makes me feel like it's working. It's working. So that's cool.
One personal question I have for you is, obviously, like, everything here is you made. So when you insert it and see everything come to life, what is that feeling like?
It's pretty cool. It's probably one of my favorite things is having things like, because you see it in your head and you're like, I feel like this is gonna work. I hope it works. And then when you put it in, and even if it needs a few tweaks, once it all starts to like gel, it's just like, oh, it's the greatest feeling. It's I don't know how to describe it. I've always been I don't know, a creator. I like Legos. I love making little worlds. I would make whole like cityscapes with my Legos and my Kinects and all my toys, and seeing a whole world come together, and sound and music and animation and characters is, I don't know how to describe it. It's the best. It's all I want to do.
See, that's awesome. And so I guess you could say this room was made by an architect, if you will, because that was your former profession before you like took the leap and said, I'm going to be a game dev full time.
Yep. I honestly, I think, yes, I used to be an architect for 10 years plus, and I can't say I regret it because it gave me a lot of skills that I've used and transferred into Lucid. So it wasn't a time completely wasted, but I'm much happier doing this.
I mean, we get to find the Discord logo.
Dude, I couldn't resist. Discord logo.
So it is the Discord logo. Like it. Like I was always curious if it was. Like I was like, that looks like. And I see the comments. Is that the Discord logo?
Yeah, every time I'm like, yeah, that is absolutely. I have a post. If you look on my Instagram, when I launched the Lucid Discord, I made this image, and then I got to boss time. I'm like, I need a boss, and I'm running out of time for last year's Indieland, and I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna use the Discord head. I'll make a floating head hand boss. Like, what game isn't complete without a hand face boss?
Definitely not Star Fox Adventures.
Exactly, like Andros, Mario 64, Mega Man X. Every good game has a hand-face boss.
Yeah, so as we see this hand-face boss that is definitely not Discord, we see that there's the shields on these guys, and the shields can only be broken by your blasters, but I guess like you get optimal damage by hitting it with your crystal arts, if you will, your sword.
Yes. You are correct. Yes, exactly. I tried my best to kind of like oil every mechanic you learned playing the demo into this boss. Like you're dashing, you're using your different attacks against fields, you're doing crystal art chaining, doing all the things you're gonna do throughout the demo and be tested with this boss fight. But yeah, like you said, hands now, you gotta break the shield, then do massive damage with the crystal arts when the shield's down, and eventually the hand gets stunned, and then you have to do a little node traversal, and then that's what does big damage to the face. That's
like it's a super Andros vibes, and it looks like one hand down so far, and I just can't say, like, everything is so beautiful. I mean, look at this destruction. I mean, like,
oh. I mean, if anyone's played any Mega Man X game, like, you can tell, like, that's a Mega Man X boss fight.
Is Mega Man the same? What's the difference between Mega Man and Mega Man X? Are they the same character?
My God. How much time do you have, brother?
Are they the same character?
They are not. They're different. They're spaced by like 100 years, I believe, in world years. Mm-hmm. I know too much about Mega Man lore. I'll chew your ear off over a brewski next con.
Dude, yeah, I was really kind of bummed out that I didn't get to see you at PAX West this year, because when we first met, I think that we kind of gelled. I mean, I think I'm kind of a guy that, like when it comes to work, I'm serious, but outside of that, I'm not whatsoever. And I felt like we kind of just like memed it up and had some goofs and gaffs, if you will.
I'm all about the goofs and the gaffs, man. I love it.
Well, dude, I just want to say, like, thank you so much for showcasing the game. I mean, that 41 minutes went by way quicker